Hi everyone, this is Trevor, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about JUnit tests and threads as well. So really quick, a JUnit test is a simple way to test classes and certain functions within the class, and is an effective way to build a program while making sure that new implementation of either functions or classes are running correctly and doing what the programmer is expecting. So the first thing I was going to show is an example from the web of a JUnit. So they just made a basic Java class and then they created a JUnit test class. So to do that, you right click on the package and you go down to JUnit test case. So it's a test case. And so right here they have a class and it does two things. It concatenates a string and it can also multiply two numbers together. And so in the concatenate it's returning the first string with the second string, and then multiply it obviously returns the integer value of the two numbers multiplied together. So really quick, go into the first one, test concatenate. So we create an instance of a class, and a quick note, the annotation in front of a JUnit test is this annotation at test, and we'll go over some of the different ones a little bit later. And so you create the test concatenate as the class name, just showing that it's testing this function. And so it stores it in the result string, and it's expecting it runs that function 1 and 2, adds them together. So we're using assert equals to make sure that this string is equal to the one being tested results. And so to run it and make sure it's working, you just click on the run in the top left. And so it's nice because it's just running this class and it's not building the whole program and getting to a certain point and seeing if it's actually functioning the way it is intended to. And so it's green and it's running just the one of one, and it's showing that yes, it worked correctly. And so that's nice, so you know that program's working correctly. So let's go and test the multiply. So same, we create an instance of the class, we save the result in this integer, and we're asserting that 25 is equal to the result because we're expecting, well, 5 times 5 should be 25. And so we run it, and it works. It's going good. And to show you what happens if it's not right, so let's say we put in 24. So we're asserting that 5 times 5 is 24, and we run it. It wants us to save first, then it runs, and it's saying error. It's not doing what it's supposed to. So now you know that it's not functioning the way that you wanted it to. And a cool one is on the strings. So let's say we're expecting concatenate to space the strings when it concatenates them. So we save that, we run it, and it's not doing what we expected it to. So we look in here, we're expecting this, and it was actually returning this. So just kind of a good way to debug and test new classes and new functions before they're implemented into the main branch of code and used. And JUnits are also very useful because it's saving a lot of processing. Instead of like building the entire program and waiting till a certain moment to see if it works or not, it's doing what we're expecting it to, we can just test the class specifically and make sure it's interacting the way we want it to. And with the annotation in JUnit tests, there's these various means of annotating. And so you can test things during, before, after, and there's a bunch of different uses for JUnits. And there's also various assert functions that you can use to test the code. So now let's go over to my code where I actually use something different. So this is the class that I want to be testing. I've got a private string within this class, so private variable string, and I've got this function here that's checking to make sure the string is empty. It returns true if it's empty, it calls this method, and then it returns false if it's not. So we go to the test case, and again it's creating a new instance of StoryWords, the class, and so we're making sure that that variable isn't filled with other content. And it turns out that yes, it is empty, there's nothing inside of that string, which is great. And so that's just a different assert true is empty because this is returning a Boolean value. And so it's cool because there's different asserts you can use to test your various functions. All right, going on, now talking about threads. First, I like my example of threads because I didn't really understand what threads were before studying it out a little bit. And threads is a way that a computer can actually run two tasks simultaneously. And so it's good because it can help a program accomplish a task faster if used correctly. And then also if the program is using too many threads, then it can be counterproductive and kind of bog down the processor and slow the overall performance of the program running. So in this, I wanted to test to see if it really ran simultaneously. So it's just simply printing out uppercase A to lowercase z in the ASCII table. I created this for loop, and it just prints that out to console. And then another one that was going to be running simultaneously is 1 to 100, just printing that out. So if we run it once, sometime it gives me Alright, so in this case it actually printed out A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way, it actually finished all the uppercase and some of the symbols in between in the ASCII table, and then it printed 1 to 100, and right after printed out A to Z. And if we run it again, we'll get different results. So it printed out 1, 2, 3, then A to Z and the ASCII, and then it finished 5 to 100. So it's kind of a fun way to test threads and to see how they worked. And so it's truly running multiple processes at the same time. And those are the two things that I reviewed this week. I was also going to go over executors, Android handler, and runnables, but I'll cover those ones next week in my video.